Hey guys, Brian Fisher with Edge Fitness, coming at you with a Saturday session on just talking about something that maybe you're dealing a little bit more with, maybe out of your normal routine, obviously here with everything going on, maybe not able to get outside as much, different work setup if you're working from home, but oftentimes when you do get out of a routine, maybe some unexpected or unusual things happen. Or maybe if you've dealt with low back pain, it's kind of what we're going to be hitting on here. General low back pain, I'm a health fitness person, not a doctor. This is not medical advice or prescriptions. These are just some general things that you can do on your own to hopefully maybe work on some issues you might be having with general low back pain. If you got more than that, there's still ways to communicate with your doctors, physicians, but we don't have access to going to our doctors as easily as we otherwise might have. We don't have access to popping pills and getting drugs and things like that, whether it's the pain relievers, whether it's some NSAIDs from over the counter, whether it's muscle relaxers, different things that, they can help, but they're not always the best for us, even in normal, whatever that is, circumstances. So hopefully these kind of low back tips can be something that will help you out with something you might be experiencing either now or for first time or again. So when we talk about low back pain, one of the things we really want to focus on is, are you in the right position? Okay? If you're in this position all the time, okay, working on the computer, being stuck at home, working there in an unusual setup potentially, may not be ideal as far as the ergonomics. This can be a problem because if our head keeps coming forward, that puts a lot of pull. For every inch forward, we get another 10 to 12 pounds of strain and pull on that low back, and here's those muscles trying to pull you back up. We don't spend all our time looking at the floor, so we correct that head position, and all of a sudden we start walking around with all that weight, that heavy bowling ball here on top of a crooked stick, pulling us forward. Tenses up those muscles, becomes a lot easier to start to cramp or spasm, or just get into a lockdown where the muscles will seize what should be a stable area with your lumbar and pelvis, or lumbopelvic region. That should be very stable, and a stable point for your trunk to rotate on, your hips to move off of, whether it's just something as simple as bending down and picking something up, going for a run, a jog. One of the things that we can first do is just look at that proper position. Okay? Getting up, moving around more as much as you can within your circumstances. If you can get out and go for a walk, walking is nature's backbone. So one of the best things that you can do is go for a walk. Another great thing that you can do is spend some time breathing. Okay? You've got a wall, you've got chairs, you've got tables, you've got something that you can easily get down, even if you just have floor space. This is a very safe position for the spine. Takes a lot of pressure off the back. Put your feet up on the chair or up against the wall, something to, again, take pressure off and breathe. Practicing in that 90-90 breathing where we expand front to back and the sides. And just belly breathing doesn't get the whole rib cage moving, doesn't get as much relaxing motion into that low back, or help to change proper position of the head in relation to the ribs, in relation to the pelvis. So spending some time breathing. Another great exercise, we've talked about in the post on recovery position, is just some crocodile breathing. Laying on your stomach, if you need a towel or a pillow or a small bolster maybe under the feet, towel right under the pelvis, really helps out as well. And then all I'm going to do is rest my head on the back of my hands and take some deep breaths. Ideally into the nose, at least out through the mouth, but ideally nasal breathing, in through the nose and out through the nose. Just good deep breaths. You should see the back rise and fall, not just the belly pushing into the floor. But the floor does give you some good feedback on at least getting that front part of the breath working. You can put a ball on your back as well to get some feedback there while you're doing your breathing. With each breath, this is another pose, the Sphinx pose, working to expand that. If it's too painful, too tight after about 30 seconds of breathing, progress to just one fist, 2 fists, then up onto your elbows. Go into the position that you can most easily relax into. If it does become painful, go back down to that next position or last position that was not painful for you after 30 seconds of just a good relaxing breath. Try to keep the glutes, back of your legs nice and relaxed there. Okay, so we got the walking. We got a couple different positions to work on your breath. with being in that 90-90 position on your back with the feet up on a chair or something. The crocodile breathing here. We got some press ups. Take a deep breath in. Press up only as far as you can keep the hips down. Breathe in. Exhale and hold for just a little bit. Working to 5 to 10 of those at least a few times a day. Okay? At least 2 to 3, 3 to 5 times a day. That is great to work with as well. Okay? Some other more direct things that you can do besides the walking, your breathing, those press ups, those can be really good kind of starting points. Okay? Even if you are just trying to get up out of that seated position. Hands on the hips, just doing a little back bend, keeping nice and long through your spine, just gentle little motion there. A little bit of a lunge stretch, pushing this back leg into the ground, pushing the hips forward, not letting the pelvis drop, but keeping that pelvis, that belly button, if you had a flashlight, pointing straight ahead. Tight, tight. So glutes, abs are both tight within there. And so just some simple stretching to get you up moving, but again, walking, your breathing, those are going to be 2 great things. So some of the main parts that I want to show you here, those are some just do them when you're able to, sneak some of that training throughout your day with the breathing, with the press ups, with walking, take frequent breaks. If you could work up to doing 3 half-hour walks a day, that would be awesome, especially for low back is what we're specifically talking about here. A couple other movements that you can do. You'll see these in different ways called pelvic fault routines, pelvic resets, different ways that we can just try to use the body to reset itself here. Okay? If we lay on your back, trying to correct that position of the pelvis, so our posture as a whole, keeping that chin back, nice and tall, tight. We can also reset that pelvis. Sometimes it's like Rubik's Cube, you can get twisted, mangled in that position. So we're trying to reset that. I'm going to bring the knees up in towards my chest. And put one hand on the front of one knee, one hand on the back of the other, and I'm going to try and drive this knee forward, my left knee back, creating kind of a scissor motion. I'm going to use my hands to resist. I'm going to go about 5 to 10 seconds. Then I'm going to switch. I'm going to press again. Now I'm trying to drive my left knee forward, my right knee back, but resisting for 5 to 10 seconds. It's not all out max effort, but a pretty good amount of tension. I'm just going to go back and forth, doing that 3 to 4 times on each side, working with the breath. So I'm going to take a deep breath in. I'm going to exhale, and that's when I'm going to try to move my legs. Deep breath in. Creating a push-pull tension for that pelvis. The next thing I'm going to do, you can do that with the knees still up, or you can put the knees on the ground. For you, it might be easier to reach with those knees up. You can have them up on a chair, but if you have a little bit of tension here, that can also help. I'm going to press in, try to pull my knees together, but resist. Deep breath in, and try to squeeze, but I'm resisting. Deep breath in, push out, exhale as you're trying to push out. Same thing, about 5 to 10 seconds. Resisting. Resisting, keeping that tension through the trunk, ribs should be down. If you have a towel under your back, that'll give you some good feedback that you're keeping everything tight there. And again, if you have them here, you could have a partner or friend, probably in this case a family member, to push in, pull out. Okay? You can use a band, or even if you have trusty yoga block, put that in between the knees. Deep breath. Squeeze that yoga block. Okay? Once you've worked through some of those movements, we can start to add a little bit of tension again. Squeeze. Just a simple bridge, squeezing those glutes. Lower back down. Squeeze, deep breath in. Lift those hips by pushing the floor away from you, coming back down. Okay? Once we've worked through that alternating push-pull, they try to squeeze, pull apart, a little bit of a bridge, it's a great thing to use. Now, I've got a little 4-pound, very soft, sand-filled medicine ball. You could, if you've got kids, you might have one of those little play balls, just the air-filled, about the same size, bouncy ball in the house. If you don't, maybe you can still sneak out to if you have other things to get, if you're not in a shelter-only place, okay? Maybe you can still get out to a store and find one of those balls. A bouncy ball, this is a yoga tune-up ball, a soft ball, ideally something softer. So if you had like a hard ball, putting a towel or something on top of it would be best, because now a couple muscles that we're going to work front and back. For that low back, we've got the hip flexors that attach right onto your spine, to your low back, and come down onto the thigh. We've got another one here in the pelvis that lines the inside of that pelvis like a bowl. Those muscles are going to pull you forward, and then your ribs are going to swing out. That's going to shorten that distance in the back. So if here's my back, here's the front, this back side gets really short, this front side gets overstretched, and we don't have that balance tension around there, and the body starts to protect what should be a very stable area that's becoming more mobile in the bad direction to compress the spine. That's where some of those muscles will start to seize up. Until we correct that position with some of that pelvic fault routine we just did on the floor, and with some of this ball work here, your body's not going to let go of that tension, because it is guarding that position, trying to protect it from getting more unstable and potentially greater injury happening. Okay? So one of the things that we're going to be working with on the ball is to land that ball and work just a little bit. Find those two bony spots here. That's why softball is important. And then we're just going to come in from that bony spot towards the belly button. We're going to work right into that area on both sides. So I'm going to place that ball right here on the floor, supporting my weight on the elbows. And I'm just going to kind of take a deep breath in. That contracts a little bit. Exhale and just let that ball sink in a little bit more. Working through. Now, if you have any blood pressure issues, if you have any aneurysm type issues, if you have any health concerns within this area, check with your physician first. There's using some of those lunge stretches, the press ups, different things like that would be much better to start off with. I would say come in, I can do some active release techniques, some massage techniques within this area, but obviously can't do that right now. So when we're able to, massage is a great thing to do to release these areas much better, but in a pinch, we work with what we got. So a soft ball, I can even hop down on this ball with a little bit of pressure onto it and lift that leg and hold. As I lift that leg, that's contracting the glutes, telling my hip flexors to relax. I can sink in just a little bit more. I can press my leg into the ground to contract the hip flexors. Deep breath, relax. Contract those glutes to get a little bit more relief out of that as well. We would do both sides on that. But we're going to go on to the back side again here. That right side for me already feels a little bit looser. I know that's kind of my problematic side. I've got a history of some low back stuff from an old sports injury back in high school that I have to be real mindful of. So for me, just like we're talking for you, it's very important to keep moving with things. Walking is nature's backbone for you, for me, for all of us, just to even get outside, get a little mental break. Another muscle we're looking at is right onto the back side here, from the pelvis up to the rib cage, a little bit of an angle out from the pelvis up in towards the spine, but on that rib cage. Okay? The big fancy word there is quadratus lumborum, or the QL muscle. Okay? We're going to take the smaller ball, and now just going to lay on my back. I'm going to set that ball right into the side of that muscle. If you're not quite sure where it is, you can just kind of hike your hips up, back and forth a little bit, and you should feel the edge of that muscle pop up. Keep one hand there, reach around, replace those fingers with the ball, and now I'm going to press down into that ball a little bit, and I'm just going to relax, working with the breath. So I'm going to contract those muscles a little bit. Deep breath in. Exhale and relax. You can even go side to side a little bit here. Okay? Stay out of the point where you're feeling pain. Pain is going to trigger, again, that kind of defense mechanism So again, staying out of pain, working below that threshold. If you think of times when you're stressed, you might have more tension just in different areas, especially into that low back. The breathing can really help out with that. So that's why that one's so important. It can shift us from that fight, flight, or freeze to the rest and digest side of the nervous system to dial down our ramped up feelings of all the stress and chaos going on. So the mindset is important within treating a lot of these issues, and even just our position, our breath, making sure that we're in with that. Once you go through and kind of work with this floor routine for that pelvic fault, the going back and forth, the front to back reset, side to side reset, squeezing with the yoga block. If you don't have a yoga block, use a pillow, use a foam roller, something small like that, but something that doesn't just completely collapse if you go to squeeze it, okay? Use what you got for it, but work with that, some of the bridging. Then you can work into the tensioning on the front side to release those hip flexors a little bit. Again, something soft. Work onto the back side. If you just have something even smaller, if you're using like a baseball or a golf ball, I would suggest using it on carpet or a towel, or again, put a towel on top of it. Something to help that be a little more comfortable for you and stay out of that pain threshold where your body's going to tense up and fight back. And each time you go do it, your body has a memory. It's going to say, hey, last time something happened in this area, it was painful. Protect that area even more, so you're actually going to be working against yourself. All right? So hopefully this little low back routine and some of the tips at the beginning is helpful. And once we work on that, changing the position, being aware of your posture while you are at work, addition by subtraction, take out that bad posture, replace it with a good position. If you can find a way to stand up and work, awesome. If you can find time to get out and go for a walk, awesome. One of the best times after doing this little routine is to go for a walk. Do that routine, go for a walk to take advantage of that natural unwinding motion of walking. That's why walking is nature's backbone. So if you can get that in after doing a routine like this or a training session, would be awesome to do. Okay? Another great thing to follow this up with is that big 3 core routine. That is great because then you take everything in a proper position now and you reinforce it with proper tension around that area to keep it stable and secure in a positive way. Okay? One other little thing to show you guys here, so hopefully you're staying with me. As you're going through, kind of an on-off switch for the spasms, the cramps, the muscle pain that you can get. You're going to take your fingers, I'm going to put them right on either side of my spine. Okay? All I'm going to do is I'm going to bend forward at the waist. You're going to feel those muscles tense up. That's that tense feeling, that weight pulling the back forward, and those muscles trying to pull back. If you don't get out of this position, they don't let go. They just keep trying to pull forward and keep fighting that losing match. If you're playing tug of war by yourself against a full NFL line set of linemen, you're fighting a losing match, but you don't stop. Those muscles aren't going to give up. So if we can then come back up until you feel those muscles relax, then brace as if one of your kids or someone's going to come up and punch you in the stomach. You'll feel them tense up a little bit, but it'll feel different than when you were leaning forward. That's your neutral low back position. Okay? You can just lean forward, come back up till you feel them shut down, and brace. That's an on-off switch. On, soft, brace, off. You'll feel a difference within there. You can do that for just bending forward at the waist. That's the easiest, simplest way to do. If you just stop there, awesome. You can do that throughout the day. If I drop just my chest, I'm going to feel those muscles tense up a little bit again. I'm going to come back up until I feel them go soft. I'm going to brace even a little bit more. Now I'm neutral through the low back, through the upper back. Then I'm going to look straight down. I'm going to feel those muscles tense up again. I'm going to bring my head back up until I feel them go soft. I'm going to brace. Now I've just aligned my whole spine. I'm in a much better position overall to do my movements, trying to maintain all of those with whatever type of motion that I'm working with for my training. Again, that's where that big 3 really comes in, to set the tone, the position for the front, for the sides, and for the back with the curl up, the side plank, side bridge, and the bird dogs. If you haven't seen that, go back onto our YouTube channel, so hopefully you subscribe and share to that. If you haven't, do that now so you can go back and check out that video on there and add that into your routine to prime all of this that we're talking about, to transition from maybe a pelvic default position, reset it, maintain and train it to stay in that position and then use it in that position, whether it's even just a simple walk or going into your full training session with some of the at-home project stuff. So hopefully that nice long ramble was valuable for you guys. We'd love to hear any feedback on it. If there's other things that we can do, maybe through virtual sessions to try and dig in a little bit deeper. But again, if you need some medical advice, find a way to seek that out. These are just general health and fitness recommendations that we're trying to give you to right now in the situation that we're all in. We've got to be able to do some of that general maintenance on ourselves as well. So subscribe and share. Check those out. Check out the other resources that we've got going for you guys, and we'll see you next time.